The chair recognizes Mr. Barr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General Milley, General McKenzie, thank you all for your service. On July 2nd, 2021, the United States left Bagram Air Base in the dead of night without notifying the base's new Afghan commander, who discovered the U.S. departure more than 2 hours after the military had left. General Milley, was your assessment at the time that Bagram Air Base was the most strategically important base in Afghanistan and across the region?
I think it was a strategically important air base. However, at that point, the troops had been drawn down to a degree that it was not defendable by U.S. forces, so there was no question of closing it. As far as the specific information of the Afghan command, I read that in the media. I don't know. I'd ask Frank to comment on whether he knew or didn't know.
Well, sir, was Bagram a key component of U.S. air capabilities to strike ISIS-K and al-Qaeda and to stop Taliban advances?
Sure, and it had been for 20 years.
And is Bagram Air Base, or was Bagram Air Base, the only U.S. air base in a country with a physical border with China?
Well, we had several previously, but at that point in time, that was the only one remaining.
Who, General Milley, gave the order to abandon Bagram?
Well, the president makes a decision, announces it on the 14th of April, and the decision very simply was withdraw U.S. forces and keep a diplomatic presence. The embassy is going to remain in Kabul, and if you're ever going to have to do a NEO, then you're going to have to use the Kabul International Airport as the evacuation airfield.
Could a NEO have taken place in a more orderly fashion had it been conducted out of Bagram versus H-Kaya?
Sure, but you don't have the forces to defend. It's a question that, it's a non-question in the sense that you don't have the forces to defend Bagram. Bagram would have required, roughly speaking, if U.S. forces are defending it, Bagram would have required about 5,000. If the Afghans are there with you, then you probably could have defended it with 1,800, maybe 2,000, or something like that.
Sir,
but once you make the decision, Congressman, to go to remove U.S. forces, you don't have the option of keeping Bagram.
Right.
It's no longer there.
So who did give the order? Who specifically gave the order to abandon Bagram? And I assume the order was delivered to General Miller.
Well, it was General Miller's recommendation that if he's going to withdraw U.S. forces, I can't keep Bagram and H-Kaya and defend it with 750 guys. It's not even feasible. So that's his recommendation. The plan is brought up through the chain of command.
Was there dissent within the military? Was the order given against military advice?
To close Bagram?
Yes.
No, and that's because the previous decision is a strategic decision to withdraw U.S. forces.
Well, General McKenzie, if I could ask, you stated that DOD and state were operating at different speeds. Do you believe that if state and DOD were on the same page, that Bagram could have remained a viable option for the NEO?
The key point the chairman made is this, sir, it's once you go below 2.5K for U.S. forces, you can't hold Bagram. At 2.5, I was enthusiastic about holding Bagram. Scott Miller was enthusiastic about holding Bagram.
Understand, but neither one of you recommended to go below 25.
I recommended not, my position then and now is stay at 2.5K.
And that's right.
General
But
Milley,
once the decision is made.
Right. Understand.
Yeah, presidents make decisions, and once that decision is made, we execute.
But the point here that I'm trying to make is that the refusal to abide by the recommendations that both of you made would have preserved the option to maintain Bagram and execute the NEO from Bagram. My question is, would Bagram have been a preferable strategic exit versus H-Kaya?
So there are problems with Bagram. It's 30 miles away from Kabul. All things being equal, you'd prefer to have Bagram at 2.5K. There's a lot of reasons why you'd want that second air base. And yes, it would have helped the NEO had you been doing it at the force level that would have allowed you to man it.
Yeah. So it was really the fact that the resources weren't there, the troop levels were not there to actually carry out a successful NEO. General McKenzie, did you ever make a request to re-seize Bagram either before or after August 15th?
We had plans, and I'd prefer to talk about them in the closed session, but we had plans to do a variety of things.
My time has expired. I think your advice to the political leadership was the correct advice, primarily because we lost a key strategic asset in the counterterrorism fight. And now, in retrospect, looking at the fact that we have competition with China and we don't have an air base there, huge strategic blunder, in my judgment, without a yield.
Gentleman yields. Chair recognizes